please go ahead.
Good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you guys today. My name is Matthew Ricketts. I live in Durango, Colorado. Several months ago, I was involved in a hit-and-run accident where I was hit between two bumpers by a vehicle backing up at a high rate of speed. Individuals then fled the scene, causing a multitude of injuries to myself that I've been dealing with for the last 6 months. This road's been a hard and painful experience, and without the tools that law enforcement had to use, this easily could have become another unsolved case. Because of the clock system, officers were able to track the movements of the young man that hit me, both before and after the incident. They followed his route until he reached rural stretches of the highway where the cameras were no longer available. But the direction of travel, the vehicle description, and the license plate information that they were able to gather from the block system allowed them to continue searching. And the next day, they located the vehicle in a town about 50 miles away. The information did not help law enforcement. It helped me to get justice. And in a roundabout way, it helped the young man who had hit me. He has gone through treatment, found a job, is now living in a sober living facility in Durham. Accountability was his first step toward recovery, and the flock system played a critical role in making that possible. This technology is not just about catching people, it's about helping victims, supporting investigations, and keeping communities safe. Crime does not always get solved in 24 hours, and officers need access to at any time for responsible to track movements. And thank you for the time.
Thank you. Please stay on the Zoom. This isn't all virtual demo, so we'll see a few questions at the end of what this is. All right, Chief Turner, please go ahead.
Thank you, committee. My name is Bryce Grant, Chief of Police of Durango. 70 conflicts with law enforcement, legal precedent, and the practical realities of investigations. Courts have consistently held there is no reasonable expectation of privacy on a vehicle's display license plate observed in public. The technology at issue does not track people in real time and does not tell us where someone is. It might tell us where a vehicle was. This is not a dragnet, it's a rearview mirror, narrowly focusing on one vehicle, increasing privacy for uninvolved cars. It provides direction and breadcrumbs that will help develop reasonable suspicion, not probable cause. That distinction matters. LPR data is not used to start investigations, is used to start investigations, not to finish them. It helps answer threshold questions, like was the vehicle near a criminal pattern? Was it related to crime scenes? Did the vehicle leave town? Is there enough here to seek a warrant? If a warrant is required before we can access those initial breadcrumbs, most investigations will never begin. You can't establish probable cause without first reviewing the information that it may help create. This bill reverses that process by requiring the end to the warrant at the beginning. That's not how investigations work. It is not how constitutional policing is operated. As stated today previously, it's illegal. In practice, only a tiny fraction of the data is ever viewed. Just a small number of images in our community are accessed within 30 days before being deleted. And when charges are filed, judicial review ensures the process was lawful. We ask you to consider whether this bill unintentionally eliminates lawful, limited investigative steps. One that protects privacy by requiring judicial oversight when it matters most, rather than preventing investigations from starting at all. Colorado law should not bear the consequences of separate federal policy concerns. Here in Colorado, our focus should be ensuring this local technology stays local and stays out of the hands of ICE, not out of the hands of our local officers in our community.
All right, thank you. English, if you can hear us, feel free to activate your camera, please.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Crystal English. I'm a patrol officer with the Greenville Police Department. On August 21st, 2025, I responded to what was initially reported as a hidden bomb in a parking lot. I arrived and it was clear this was more than a traffic accident. A man, Matthew, who spoke before me, was standing behind his vehicle when a white SUV suddenly accelerated in reverse, striking him. The driver paused briefly while the victim was in between vehicles, then sped away without stopping, without checking on him, and without calling for help. The victim suffered serious injuries. Several witnesses described the white SUV. No one was able to obtain a license plate. They consistently noted that the rear window was busted out, and there was a yellow container inside the vehicle. A nearby business provided grainy surveillance footage. But again, no visual footage. I also observed distinct damage, including a unique paint chip on the vehicle. That's where flock safety cameras became critical. We searched flock using the vehicle description and those specific characteristics of the paint chip. This was not used, the license plate wasn't used, nor suspect name. Flock returned the license plate for vehicle matching the damage, the missing rear window, and the yellow container described by witnesses. That plate number unlocked the entire investigation. Without it, we would not have identified the vehicle, known its direction of travel, coordinated with neighborhood agencies, or developed a suspect. Because we were able to quickly identify the vehicle and plate, we articulated probable cause, which allowed us to obtain a warrant. The warrant would not have happened without us. Requiring a warrant to simply search flock data for an investigative lead would have stopped us at the starting line. Flock was not the end of this investigation, it wasn't the beginning. Thank you for your time, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Officer, thank you. I'm sorry, my title was not indicated on the list that I was calling from. Okay, we'll go to questions. Any questions for this panel? Senators or Wilson?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This question is for Officer, I believe it's Curran. You mentioned that that the flock doesn't track in real time, and so I'm curious as far as if you put out, you're looking for a certain license plate, and so I assume it's actively tracking. How soon from the time if the car passed by a flock and registered, do you receive notice?
We had background. Was that question to me?
Yes, sir. I believe that question was for you.
Okay, how quick we could receive notice? Within a few minutes, we could receive notice. And I didn't catch all the question because Crystal and I were in the same room and she had moved, so we don't get background. But if I heard the entire question, the critical point here is that we may not even be looking for that car within 3 minutes or 4 minutes or 5 minutes when we can get that hit. Or we have to enter the data in for the license plate to even receive a hit or to know what we're looking for or when to look for things. So oftentimes we need to respond to calls, criminal activity, and then to even know or acknowledge that we need to start looking for a certain vehicle or a plate.
Chief, we're getting a thumbs up as for the answer here, so thank you. Committee questions for this panel? Senator Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think my questions are for Officer English. So I guess I'm trying to understand, in the example you gave with the hit and run, how long after the accident was the flag data accessed?
We were able, once I got a description of the vehicle and I could see the character flaw on the hood, without looking at my narrative, to know the exact time, it was within hours. We had this plate, we had the vehicle identified, a plate attached to it in a direction of travel. We were able to secure that information and apply for an arrest warrant. We had this done in less than 24 hours because the law gave us something to go on.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, I guess my understanding is that everything that you just described is still totally permissible under the bill, actually as introduced and certainly as amended. But I want to hypothesize that you got the information, the description, let's say came 4 days after the incident. One of the things that I struggle with as I try to understand this is it your belief that a court would, if you have a description of a white SUV with a distinguishing mark heading in a very specific direction, immediately following an established crime that happened at a specific location at a specific time, that the court would not give a warrant for the flock data in the immediate time preceding or following that crime that is established at a specific location at a specific time with the vehicle, that, albeit with the general description, that data would not be granted a warrant for?
Officer?
So two things. A general description of the vehicle. How many white SUVs do you see just go to the gas station? That's not even a general description, in my opinion. We didn't even have a microphone. As far as the warrant goes, I think you underestimated the specificity required in obtaining the warrant of any type. And the way you described it, are we going to stop every white SUV we might be meeting for the rest of the completely separate hearing under those circumstances? We had no direction at onset, and the description was, it was white SUV. I don't know how to elaborate any further on this too.
Senator Hughes.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate that. I think I would just, like, my commentary on this and where you have really concerning question is absolutely I would not want to stop every white SUV. But and I don't know the specifics of this location. I've been to Laredo, but I don't know what it's at now. But if I'm using my hometown, if I know that there's a hit and run accident causing bodily injury at 3:08 p.m. at the corner of Northern and Pueblo, and the white SUV with distinguishing damage marks traveled northbound on Pueblo Boulevard immediately after 3:08 p.m., I would hope that a court would grant, assuming that there's a flock camera, I'm just going to throw it out, a quarter mile north on Pueblo Boulevard, that would grant access to that. First of all that data would be available for 72 hours, but I'm hoping that if you have that much information of crime was committed here, and we know that the suspect immediately travels in this direction, and here's the description that we have, that in the camera that would be right most positions to capture the crime itself would be authorized. I really struggle with that, and I've got colleagues who've worked on this stuff as either defense attorneys or judges say that they find it hard for that not to be permissible, but that's what I'm really struggling with.
Yeah, can I jump in and answer that, Mr. Chief? I'm here with her, I think she hit the nail on the head, and the fact that she wasn't looking for multiple, hours and time limits. You're exactly right. It was during that precise time that you're looking for that vehicle. All they had was a mark. They didn't have a license plate. It didn't have all those details that you're talking about. They did get a warrant. They did get a search warrant and an arrest warrant later on. But it was these investigative leads, these breadcrumbs that got the officers to that point that they followed throughout the day, and then throughout the week as the investigation continued. And it actually provided more privacy for individuals traveling through that area because they were able to focus on one type of vehicle with a specific type of mark, then try to get a license plate. Once they had a license plate, then they were starting to get hits and pay dirt as you're referring to the quick warrant.
Chief, I'd like to interject maybe two quick questions for you. Earlier